And of course, he's up against the world champion. Full of confidence, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
He'll be delighted with that start, because if there's one shot that O'Sullivan has struggled with in recent seasons, it's the break-off, but he's found the baulk cushion behind the green.
Yes, he did bring the red up the table, didn't he? But, oh, that needs to hold up. And it did do. That could have been a disaster. Yeah, he brought a red down the table, but managed to cover it. And even though he's beaten Ronnie O'Sullivan 2 times, he does need a good start, because he knows, of course, how good O'Sullivan is. Don't want to give him his head. And as Jimmy said in commentary, he'll be looking for revenge, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Well, that's freed the black. Didn't want to play the cue ball down the table because of that red to the left of the blue.
Yes, O'Sullivan's made his views pretty plain about these early rounds in the home nations. The underdog, he says, tends to come out swinging. You're on a hiding to nothing. You're expected to win, and if you lose, it's a big story. But as you say, Joe, having lost handsomely to Elliot Slessor twice before, I don't think O'Sullivan will be taking anything for granted today, and I'm sure he'll be treating his opponent with due care and attention.
Well, yeah, exactly, just like he has done on his previous 3 shots. He's played good safety, showing respect to Elliot Slessor. He could have took on that red he's just played off, and he could have took on the red to the right corner, but showing respect.
Slessor came through against Li Hang in the first round 4-1 to avenge his loss to the Chinese at the same stage of this tournament last season. O'Sullivan not really troubled by Jamie O'Neill, a player who had given him some bother when they met previously in the English Open in his opening round. And the winner will play the Mark Davis, former English Open finalist, who beat O'Sullivan in the semis that year, or Matthew Stevens, who's recently scored a win over O'Sullivan. They're underway. Davis has got the first frame on the board. Ding Junhui is already safely through. Ding looked good in his first round, and he's followed that up with a victory over Lu Ning, 4 frames to 1.
Oh, that's an excellent safety from O'Sullivan, judging it perfectly. Elliot would like to take this red on to the left middle, but he's just looking there to see where he wants to put the cue ball to hide that red nearest the right middle. Oh, that's a cracker. That really is a good shot. He had to look to see where he wanted to place the cue ball to hide the red, but I don't think he did do. But what a pot from a very good safety from O'Sullivan. Well, no fear. Absolutely no fear going into the pack of reds so early. Hasn't even got his arm going yet. But taking that red, that blue on, going into the pack of reds, it just shows you how he's feeling. Very attacking shot, and the red's nicely open.
Ordinarily, the very best players in the world, the all-time greats, have that intimidation factor which can be worth 1 or 2 frames even before we've got underway. But of course with Slessor, having beaten O'Sullivan in their 2 previous meetings, perhaps that doesn't really apply. He knows he can beat him. And I think he relishes the prospect. I recall when he qualified for the Crucible back in the summer for the first time, ahead of the draw, he said he hoped to play Ronnie. Wanted the buzz of playing one of the all-time greats. And looks as though he's looking forward to 30. The task in hand again today.
Yeah, sure. 14.
Yeah, and finished absolutely perfectly on the red there to be able to free the black. That was well worked out. That's what he intended. Oh, but wait a minute. Has the pink come to thwart things? No. He was cleaning the cue ball.
Rob Spencer, our referee. Yes, in the event, Slessor played Yambing Town in the first round at the Crucible. Gave him a good match as well. The former Northern Ireland Open runner-up came through 10-7. And it was a very frustrating start to this campaign for Slessor. He turned up here to play at the European Masters, but
21.
Had to then self-isolate because he came into contact with Gary Wilson, who tested positive for COVID in the tests that, of course, take place before the tournament gets underway. So had to miss out on the first event of the season.
22.
And he lost early at the English Open and in the second round of qualifying last week at the German Masters to Michael White. So his season hasn't really got going at all yet. This would be a great way to change that momentum.
Yeah, not many people actually say, I want to play O'Sullivan. But he did. And so far, I mean, he knocked in a terrific red from dead under the cushion to start this break. And his second shot going into the pack of reds from the blue
30.
shows a confident man.
That victory over O'Sullivan in the Northern Ireland Open 2 years ago, make it 3 years ago now, led to his best ranking performance. He made the semi-finals, losing to the eventual champion Mark Williams in the last 4. So all sorts of good memories for Slessor when it comes to playing the rocket. But as you can see, cueing here is awkward. That red in the way of his bridge hand.
Yes, and it just affected the positional side of the shot a little.
37.
Can't get back to the black now, but should be able to move up towards the blue or one of the baulk colours. Just in no man's land there. Not quite on the blue to the middle or the corner, or even the yellow. Helps being left-handed, taking the yellow on. Again, could have played for those 2 reds just above the pink, above the black, knowing full well he was on the red over the middle. Show of determination, that face, isn't it? and seems to have got used to the table very quickly, because this table is extremely fast, much faster
49.
than the ones in the practice area.
Just looks very confident, doesn't he? Up for the task, relishing the opportunity to test his skills against the world champ again.
Being played for the red, possibly to the left corner, but knowing full well he's on other reds as well. Always good to play into an area where you're on more than one red.
57.
Well, O'Sullivan didn't do anything wrong. He played an excellent safety.
You might be thinking, here we go again.
63.
If Slessor completes this break and turns it into a frame-winning one, that'll be an aggregate frame score of 11-3 over the six-time world champion. And that was the key ball. So another red to make absolutely sure, and Sullivan helpless in his chair right now.
What a start.
70.
What a start.
Well, you mentioned the quality of the opening red, which was extremely missable, but showed the confidence that Slessor's feeling.
Elliot Slessor. 70.
He's missed the black, but it shouldn't be a problem. There's only 59 left. O'Sullivan coming to the table as much as anything, I'm sure, to just get his arm going. O'Sullivan's already been on the wrong end of a upset this season, of course. The European Masters in the last 64, he lost to the new Irish professional Aaron Hill. Stunning victory for the teenager. Matthew Stevens rolled back the years in beating him at the English Open in the round of 32. And Mark Allen beat him convincingly in a match which had a bit of needle at the back end in the Champion of Champions.
Well, if it had been playing on for snookers, that would have been a good ball to start the snooker trail off with. Red next to the pink, so it tells me he's just playing to pot these and get some kind of rhythm going.
24.
3 snookers would have been required. It wouldn't have been impossible with a red left.
30. 32.
Also, let's Elliot Slessor know that he's queuing okay.
35.
Yeah, this is one occasion where you don't mind sitting in your chair watching your opponent pot all the balls, because you know the frame's already yours.
44.
But it can only assist O'Sullivan to get a feel for the conditions, get the pace of the table, which he normally does very quickly in any case.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 57.
And he clears up with 57, but the telling break came from Elliot Slessor. What a start from the underdog. I say underdog, he's going for his 3rd win out of 3 against O'Sullivan. He leads 1-0.
Yes, Elliot breaking off here. Good break off.
I mentioned the winner plays either Mark Davis or Matthew Stevens, who looked really good in coming from behind yesterday against Jimmy Robertson to win 4-2, but he's 2-0 down to Davis. Virgil O'Brien, who knocked Mark Selby out of the German Masters last week here in Milton Keynes. He shared the first two frames, I should say, with Tepchire and New. The tortoise against the hare. But Fergal still playing, as he proved against Selby, some seriously good stuff. Tepchire, of course, is the reigning shootout champion, or rather last year's shootout champion. Of course, Michael Holt relieved him of the title, and Holt's also playing. He's up against Louis Heathcote. Leads 3-1 and is looking good in the 5th frame.
Bringing the cue ball over the right side of the table makes the safety a little bit more difficult. That red on the right side cushion making things awkward for Elliot. Yes, and it forced the mistake. Now, what can O'Sullivan do? I think he can take consolation, really, from not playing a bad shot in the last frame. In fact, played a very good safety shot, getting the cue ball dead on the cushion. Can't stop your opponent knocking in a good ball to start things off, and that's what he did, Elliot. You could almost feel that mind working. How do I develop the black or the pink? Maybe the red nearest the black spot, if you could play for that one.
Six.
Well, the black must go to that left corner, which changes the plan. So a couple of shots. He's got the black back on its spot. He pots it.
O'Sullivan seeking his 38th ranking title 27 years after his maiden one at the expense of the great Stephen Hendry at the UK Championship when he was still just 17. He turns 45 next month.
15.
He doesn't think the black goes into that left corner. So this isn't easy to play position, but the red above the black and to the right will go to that left corner, but not easy to get to that red. Well, there you can see he had a really good look at the black. From here it looks like it goes, but he's right behind it, and if he doesn't think it goes, I'll stand on him. Really get into the cue ball. He was trying to play the other side of that red, which would have meant hitting higher up the cushion towards the middle pocket. Looks to be end of break.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 90.
Yeah, there's nothing crash bang wallop about O'Sullivan today. He's a proud champion. He doesn't want to lose 3 on the bounce to Elliot Slessor. But he's already seen enough from his opponent to know he's going to have to play very well to avoid a third defeat.
Well, that was a clever safety he played there, O'Sullivan, pushing the red towards that right corner pocket, inviting Slessor to play it because knowing full well the black doesn't go, and forcing Elliot Slessor to open the reds up. It's great thinking, and sometimes you've got to think really well to play this game. O'Sullivan's safety, second to none. And his thinking, of course, second to none. Another good safety. Again, those two reds near the right side cushion, making things awkward for Elliot. If he plays this red directly below the cue ball, if he plays that one thin, he could push it over that left corner. So again, trouble here.
Foul. And a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
That will be going back.
Foul.
And to catch it ultra thin so he doesn't push it over that left corner pocket.
Yeah,
as we're looking at the table.
First,
Elliot became a dad for the first time earlier this year, a baby girl. He's got plans to get married soon.
yeah, well,
In fact, he promised his fiancée Stephanie that if he did qualify for the Crucible, which of course he did, then those plans would be accelerated. Picked up £20,000 for getting to Sheffield from the qualifiers to the Sports Ultimate venue, but another safety error.
Yep, those two reds. And Sullivan put there a couple of shots ago. But he hasn't left anything easy. He has left a red on to the left corner, but it's not easy. The one next to the black, to the left of the black. But there's no guarantee of being on a colour, so showing Elliot Slessor a lot of respect, which he's got to do.
It's a very different feel, isn't it, to our first match of the day when Judd Trump was simply irresistible. Magnificent 147 break, 2 other centuries, and poor old Gao Yang, the brand new pro from China, didn't know what had hit him. This is intense and competitive.
foul. And a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
Not very good on the thin shot so far, Elliot.
Colin.
Trying to avoid
You got this, please.
the double kiss
Just swerve it slightly, didn't you? Yeah.
and trying to avoid pushing that red over the right corner pocket.
Colin Humphreys assisting Rob Spencer as marker. You can see the shadow there in that still frame of where the cue ball was. I think we're getting there.
Yeah, and it does make a difference because when he first put it back, I don't think he could see that red on the left side cushion. Again, an excellent safety that from Elliot. It with a lot of right-hand side on the cue ball.
Final frame decider underway between Noppon Sankam and Zhou Yulong. Sam Craigie leads David Grace 3-2. Looks like Tepchira Nu is poised for a 2-1 lead over Fergal O'Brien.
Well, it's all good stuff, this. And a good safety from Elliot Slessor.
What he's proving already in this match is that those 2 victories over O'Sullivan were no fluke. He played very well, and he's playing very well again at the start of this match. And O'Sullivan knows he's in a real battle here, and he looks up for it too. It's got all the makings of a thoroughly absorbing affair, this one. Currently ranked at 58, Slessor, which is his career high. Originally turned pro in 2013.
Had a good look at this red, and from there it looks as though it will pot, but he'll be taking that cue ball back towards the balk area, just in case he misses it. Well, big target, the green, if you can get that cue ball in behind the green. Well, can he be tempted by the thin cut? Very difficult shot, and if he catches it a little too thick, the cue ball could be going into the reds. Patience.
This is good old-fashioned match play snooker, isn't it? It's not all about the big breaks. We've had those already from Judd Trump, who was on fire, but this is really top-class match play, tactical stuff from these two.
And good stuff as well. I mean, you can't go for a pot when the cue ball's like this, can you? You just got to try and play a return safety of equal caliber. Fortunate raise of the hand, although I don't think he would have been going for the pot with the cue ball going into the reds. It's running on, and it's running to a snooker. That's an option. Could have played the other side of the table as well for the same option.
Not often you see in Sullivan engaged in a frame like this, but he's more than happy to engage in this kind of battle. Well, I say that when he's in the mood to, he is, and of course he's determined to improve his record against Slessor.
Well, he's fighting for it, isn't he? Really giving the safety some thought. And again, the green would be a good target here. Also got the cover of the brown as well. Got it just a little bit too thick, pushing that red over the corner. So Slessor has won the safety battle. Now, what kind of an angle does he have on this red? Can he get the cue ball back towards the blue? Slight angle.
That will be frustrating for Slessor, having won the safety battle, as Joe mentioned, to then miss the red and give that hard work away.
Yeah, probably thinking too much about the positional side of the shot. That's why he missed it thin. Now the pink does go to the left middle if you can hold for the pink. If not, then maybe you could try and get back to the blue.
Something troubling O'Sullivan. Just a frayed edge of the tip, maybe. Green in close attendance too, so slightly awkward cueing here.
One.
Struck it sweetly. Held for the pink nicely.
Yeah, the applause was justified because that was missable mid-range, and as you could see, he was slightly awkward with his cueing.
Now the question now is, does the pink respot the red that's closest to the black? The one above it will go to the left corner. I'm not sure if he's got the angle on the pink to play that. Yeah, difficult to say from there whether it will or not. It will now.
Seven. Eight.
Not an inviting table at the moment, but things can certainly change very quickly with O'Sullivan at the table.
$30. 40.
Well, he's had to be patient, and of course he did lose the safety battle to Slessor, but Slessor couldn't then knock in the long red, perhaps mindful of position.
20.
Wondering if he'll get another chance, and at the moment the table, as Joe mentioned, is hardly inviting for a counter-attack, even if he does get one.
Could all change here.
20.
Yeah, good pot. And just about on the brown. And now look at the table now. Had he missed that shot, so important that that red went in, because had he missed it, he developed everything.
23. 24.
Slightly hampered by the red near the pocket. Should be okay.
30.
Still needs a couple of reds with colours. Just trying to work out a plan to get to one of the reds, because it's not easy to get to the next red after this one. Left-handed, hampered over the pink.
30.
Oh, needs a good shot here to get onto a red. There is a red that will go. Red behind the black spot.
Not often you see O'Sullivan befuddled when faced with a positional challenge, and I think it's indicative of just how keyed up he is for this match. Determined not to make any mistakes here inside of levelling up at one each.
Yeah, I think he played the cannon to the red and the black there. And it's end of break. And there's still enough points there for Slessor to win.
Yeah, 75 in theory still available. It's a very healthy lead where the reds are, but O'Sullivan won't be taking anything for granted here. It's a red and a colour away from 1-all.
37.
And a good safety, getting Slessor glued to that baulk cushion, although, as you see, with the shake of the head, frustrated he couldn't finish the frame there.
Oh, this could be good. This could be very good. Excellent shot. And we've got to be very careful here. I'm pretty sure he didn't play to hit that red. Now, has he got away with it? Does the middle of those reds go? And it looks like it will. This is a chance.
1.
And played it well. He knows now he's in Slessor's hands. He's fought hard in this frame, there's no doubt about that, O'Sullivan.
And he didn't do anything wrong in the first one. Remember, Slessor got in with that superb red from tight to the baulk rail, which launched the break of 71, which proved to be enough. Meanwhile, victory for Noppon Sankam over Zhou Yulong. 4 frames to 3. We're going the distance between shootout champ Michael Holt and Louis Heathcote.
Yeah. 9.
Oh, big frame this now for Elliot. He knows it's in his hands. Cue ball didn't come back as far as he wanted. Maybe it was because of a kick. And for a moment, I thought he'd missed that. Caught that near angle.
60.
He's still on a red, and he doesn't need blacks. He can afford to take anything, really. Another good recovery shot. That was missable. Those two reds closest together behind the black. Not easy to get onto. Needs good position on the colour to be able to play a little cannon to them, possibly. O'Sullivan knows that there's nothing he can do now.
23.
He's played a very good frame, but so has Slessor.
And if he could clear up here from 64 behind, that would really send a message to O'Sullivan that Slessor once again means business.
Well, he could have done with just a couple of inches harder, so he could have played the cannon. He may have to just drop it in now and play a difficult pot. There you can see more or less straight.
Doesn't feel like a second round match, does it? This is super intense stuff.
30. Two.
2 behind. But there's a case for saying he's favourite now. Oh, that's a poor positional shot. And this red now, very difficult. I'd be surprised if he takes it on, really. Because if it doesn't go in, it's likely to be close to the pocket. Very easy safety to play. Of course, he wants to win the frame at this visit. And that was the problem. That was a great problem, and he knows he had a great chance there to have taken a 2-0 lead.
Well, that was a big gamble, wasn't it, for Slessor, having failed to get prime position on the red, to take it on, knowing he was bound to be leaving it if he missed, wincing with pain at failing to get nicely on the red. And what a let-off for O'Sullivan that is. Could be a very significant moment in this match. Had Slessor got nicely on the red, he had a golden chance for 2-0.
Yeah, just the blue needed, and Well, giving it consideration for sure, but just the blue needed.
And relief for O'Sullivan, who's given it everything
6.
so far, but could nonetheless have found himself 2-0 adrift.
8.
As it is, he's going to be levelling up. What an engrossing battle this is proving to be. But how will Elliot Slessor's failure to make the most of that chance affect him in the frames ahead?
O'Sullivan, 8.
That remains to be seen. This one's not quite over yet. 34 the difference with 25 on, but it's 3 snookers.
Three snookers without a red on as well.
5.
Sullivan needed 3 snookers. Well, surely it's over now.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4. Free ball.
Well, the secret now for Slessor will be to forget about the chance that he had just now for 2-0. Easier said than done. That's what the great players are so adept at doing, at staying in the moment, forgetting about their disappointments and concentrating on what they can affect, which is what's ahead of them, not what's happened already. Well, he's coming back to the table. 38 now the difference with 25 on. 4 snookers required, and in a snooker as well. Make it 5.
5.
And now the free ball.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4.
Maybe he just wants to keep this frame going in a bid to get the disappointment out of his system before the start of the next one.
Yeah, good point.
Certainly the chances of him winning it are about as small as it gets.
Or maybe to frustrate O'Sullivan. There's another snooker. Yeah, sometimes it can upset your opponent when you know there's no chance of winning, and you know you sat there thinking, well, why are you not giving in?
I just think that O'Sullivan's demeanour today suggests that he's more than happy to go into the weeds if necessary to get the win. So I don't think he'll be remotely fazed by this. Surely Slessor will remain seated now.
O'Sullivan doesn't think so because he's taking his time over this shot.
Well, there could be a bit of anything you can do, I can do even more slowly.
O'Sullivan, 3. On the frame.
But this time Elliot Slessor does concede and has to forget about the chance he missed there to double his lead over the race.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, when you sat in your chair and you see your opponent clearing up and they make a mistake, you kind of feel, well, it was in their hands. And I know how Ronnie thinks sometimes that he's a little upset that Slessor had that chance, but he played a good snooker, a good safety shot. And O'Sullivan, although he escaped from it, he hit the wrong red and left Slessor in with that good chance, which he took very well up until playing the pink. But it's a battle, and you can't ask for more than that against the world champion. Doesn't like playing off the red, that's down the table. But he knows if he plays the red he was playing, he could be in trouble the next shot.
Ronnie O'Sullivan's normal average shot time is a shade under 18 seconds. Today it's 22. I think that's indicative of just how much application he's showing. Could have really been under the cosh had Slessor landed nicely on that red just now. He'd certainly have been firm favourite had he done so for 2-0 with the position of the colours.
Well, has he had a bit of luck? Well, that's what you need when you're playing O'Sullivan. You need to get away with the odd one or two and play extremely well when you get the chance. Yes, there is a red on that will go to the left corner, but there's no escaping for the cue ball. It doesn't look like it. It looks like he's taking it on. Ooh, very, very close, and somehow he managed to find the gap. And now the tables have turned. That's a really good safety. How did he find the gap here? Very close to the pot.
Another decider underway. Su C of China playing Scott Donaldson, who's in first in the 7th frame on a break of 46.
Well, complaining about the cue ball drifting to the right. And because the cue ball's not touching the cushion, this red comes into play. Although it's difficult. Again, if he plays down the table safety, he'd have his man in trouble.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, centre picture there in the background, the Roll of Honour from last season, which by his very high standards have been quite modest until he arrived at the Crucible. And that's gone wrong.
It has. Although he could play the yellow, coming off 2 cushions. He wouldn't leave any long reds on. He could afford to play that shot twice. And then he'd be warned because he can see the black full ball. Chance of the snooker if he gets the speed right.
Foul and a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan 1.
And that's what he tried to do, just land up to the yellow. And I think it may be going back, but Slessor knows that if he gets this shot, he's going to be snookered. Yeah, back it goes, but he can have another attempt at this shot, as I say.
With the advantage, playing it again, that he can adjust the pace of the shot. Having had one go.
I don't think I'd have put it back, Philip.
It's a gamble, isn't it? We saw Slessor take a gamble on the red just now at the back end of frame 2. O'Sullivan can get this right. He could be in the soup.
He wasn't far away, you know, last time. He just needs to make a little adjustment.
That's where it was.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Ronnie?
It's not quite spot on, but pretty close.
Can you declare for me, please, again? Yellow ball, thank you.
Rob Spencer asking O'Sullivan just to declare, and once again, he nominates yellow. Big shot, this.
It's just the speed.
Elliot, slessor 4. Yeah?
Yeah, well, he can't take the risk on playing that shot again, for sure, as Joe's mentioned. O'Sullivan, as we've seen in the past, happy to let the referee do the replacing of the cue ball and retiring to his chair until the procedure is done.
Ronnie? Okay. Ronnie, if I call a miss as a result of this stroke, I'll award the frame to your opponent, okay?
The confirmation, because you can see the black, so O'Sullivan will be playing the black.
Yeah, he didn't really want to play the black because he's leaving himself open to a good safety.
Michael Holt has seen off Louis Heathcote in a decider. Matthew Stevens has duly levelled from 2-0 behind with Mark Davis at 2 each. O'Sullivan's average shot time now up to 23.7. Not sure he's ever been that pedestrian, but just indicates the intensity of the snooker out there at the moment.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do to win. So that certainly explains some very good safety. Keeping O'Sullivan under pressure, making him play good safety as well. And the good thing is, from O'Sullivan's fans' points of view, is he's competing, he's trying. Got to avoid the black if he plays the red he was attempting to play.
Plenty still to look forward to on this third day. Belatedly, Neil Robertson will get his Northern Ireland Open challenge underway against Ben Wollaston after his bye because of a positive COVID test for Declan Lavery in the first round, and looking to swiftly avenge his loss to Ben Wollaston last week in German Masters qualifying. Oh, hot.
What a beauty that was. That's a Ram Toozler. Got that cue ball out of the danger area. Look at how he timed this. What a shot to have in your armoury.
It was so good that Joe's invented a brand new word for it.
Oh, it's an old one.
But not in anyone else's dictionary.
Elliot, slessor one.
Oh, but he's missed the brown. Well, you're knocking a shot like that, you deserve to win the frame, but, well, it was a relatively easy brown. What can O'Sullivan do?
From the sublime to the ridiculous.
Well, had he scored heavy there, Elliot Slessor, that would have really made O'Sullivan think when he pulled that shot out of the book.
Eight.
Well, this is where O'Sullivan is normally the master in amongst the reds.
Yes, when they're open like this, Philip, you expect him to score heavy. And he's got his match head on, so can't see him making a mistake, but you never know. I mean, they're not altogether easy, these reds. You know, they're close together, aren't they? The two behind the pink, the two to the left of the pink. So you may need to play a little cannon
20
to develop something. The important thing is to leave the angle on the black to be able to do it, and that's what he's done. Now, the cannon to the red to the left of the pink, if he could get that shot, that could leave him on options to both corners. Didn't intend to catch that red, but he's still okay.
32.
Yes, he was playing the cannon and he just caught those two reds. He was playing the cannon to the pink, but he's back in prime position. That little cannon to the pink there left him nicely.
And all of this the result of Elliot Slessor initially knocking in that magnificent red from distance, only to then miss the much more straightforward brown to right centre.
And he knows it, doesn't he? I mean, the last frame, he failed to get nicely onto the red and then missed the last red. Frame was his for the taking. Again there, he got good position off the brown. So Sullivan who's doing the damage.
And we'll see that average shot time begin to plummet with O'Sullivan in amongst them here. It's almost up at 25 seconds per shot at one stage, but although the snooker hasn't necessarily been free-flowing, it's been extremely compelling. Both players desperate to win. Slessor, well, to beat O'Sullivan 3 times out of 3 would be an extraordinary achievement, really, given their respective careers and rankings. And O'Sullivan determined to put that record right.
Yeah, just weighing up what he needs to win the frame. Just under hit it slightly.
60. 62.
O'Sullivan, finalist in this event, of course, in the past 2 years, and the runner-up the year before, Yan Bingtao, leads Nigel Bond 2-0.
And that leaves Slessor needing snookers.
68.
Yeah, this match is about 2 shots at the moment. The red that Slessor took on, which was very tricky, a cut back to the right corner when he'd failed to get prime position, could have played safe, decided to go for it. It was a gamble, he missed, he left it for O'Sullivan. And instead of 2-0, 1 each, and then, of course, the miss brown to let O'Sullivan in here. And there was an air of inevitability about what would happen next with the reds as they were.
76.
So the world champion having come pretty close to falling 2-0 behind, and that's a problem. However good you are in a race to 4, it's now going to lead 2-1.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 76 on the frame.
The 76, more than enough from the world champ. And Elliot Slessor left to rue the error on the brown after a spectacular long red that gave him.
Yes, it's amazing how many times it happens, really. You knock in a fantastic red and then you miss a simple one. You lose that concentration. You put everything into that difficult red and then you think everything's hunky-dory and you miss a simple one like he did. Good break off though from Elliot Slessor.
Meanwhile, Matthew Stevens has won 3 on the bounce to lead Mark Davis 3-2. Could be another O'Sullivan-Stevens showdown in the next round. Repeat of their English Open meeting, which Stevens won very impressively.
Foul. And a miss. Elliot Slessor full.
And a free ball. It's the same brown, if it is a free ball, it's the same brown as he's just missed. Is it? I think the red he's looking at.
Give me a second.
Spencer isn't sure whether Slessor's able to see a red in the pack there, full ball.
Free ball.
I think that's the red, yep, and he's called a free ball. So we'll see this brown again.
Brown ball, thank you.
Could also take the green, but brown's the ball. No mistake this time.
What? Yeah.
Well, this is a chance for Slessor to put the disappointments of the previous 2 frames out of his mind and get right back in this match.
6.
Made 71 to win the opening frame. Could have won the second.
Be nice to just
30.
give that red a little kiss. I don't think he's got any option here but to play a cannon, and it's not straightforward, this. If he could get the cannon to the red above the black and to the left, that would be ideal, but it's so easy to catch the red directly above the black, which he doesn't want to do. The other option is to go into them hard. Tried to play that gentle cannon I talked about, and it just didn't happen. It was very difficult to play that shot.
Elliot Slessor.
No, just the safety. Could have been a lot more.
There have been a lot of keenly contested matches this afternoon, many going the distance. Another one featuring David Grace, former UK semi-finalist, and Sam Craigie. They're locked at 3 each. Grace 35 in front in the decider.
Got to be careful here not to push a red over the right corner.
Sullivan's stats are very impressive. He's got a pot success of nearly 97%. He's missed 4 out of 60, but a couple of those were academic. The frame was 1. And his safety has been excellent, and it's an area of his game that is sometimes overshadowed by his break building and potting brilliance, but he's right up there with some of the best tacticians in the world. He's been absolutely focused on the job in hand today so far. There's been no crash bang wallop about this performance from O'Sullivan, even though we are in round 2. He's been wary in the past of facing players down the rankings who he feels have nothing to lose against him. Of course, Slessor has beaten him convincingly on 2 previous occasions. But that one's gone quite significantly wrong.
Yeah, what can he do? Because this red along the cushion is not a gimme, although you'd expect him to pot it, stun out for the black.
What?
Mistakes are coming from Elliot Slessor now, and there have been costly, the mistakes that he has made.
I wonder if he could have his time again, whether he'd have played safe on the cut back red, which was so tricky. It was a very positive shot choice to go for the frame, but perhaps he was still feeling the disappointment of not having got prime position on it and went for broke. The gamble failed, and since then O'Sullivan has begun to take control.
Yes, he wanted to play for the black, but he's not straight enough on the red to play for the black. He could play for the pink, and then there's a red at the back of the pack there that would go.
No. $50. 60. $23. 24.
Now, he could play up for the red by the blue. I'm pretty sure he's going to go into them. But is he on one?
A gasp of frustration would suggest not.
I think the way he played the shot, it was almost certain to be on the one nearest the middle. But it's covered.
And look at the table. If he had been on one, every chance he'd have been going 2 up with 3 to play. But he's found one. What a pot.
Yeah, what a pot. You can never write this man off if there's a pot there. It's a fantastic potter.
Bit of pressure on this one as well. Theoretically, anyway.
Can he see the red that he's looking at to the left middle? Again, he could have been unfortunate here. He may have to turn this cue ball slightly. He's playing it with a lot of right-hand side on the cue ball. Yeah, nicely played. And again, hasn't landed favourable, but still on the green.
O'Sullivan's patience being tested here for the time being, but he is certainly keyed up today to finally get the better of Elliot Slessor. Who's sure to be thinking about that red at the back end of frame 2. And then the brown he missed at the start of the 3rd frame after that stupendous long red. Got a few issues with the electronic scoreboard at the moment.
Yeah, just have a look where he's placed the cue ball there. He's got choice of 3 reds the way he played the green.
So O'Sullivan's lead now 19 with the blue to come, and no reason why he shouldn't make it 3 on the bounce here.
49.
It was a superb recovery red when it looked as though the break might be over just now. The cut back black was missable, given that he was leaving Slessor a good chance if he'd missed it. He looks very sharp.
Well, he's put all the effort in the world into this match, hasn't he? Full marks for trying like he has done.
55.
But
Well,
he
you can be
knew he
sure.
had to.
You can be sure, Joe, that it would have hurt him to lose to Slessor in the way he did in the previous 2 meetings. I mean, they weren't close.
Yeah, that's right. And he knew how good Slessor was with those 2 beatings that he got from him. So he knew what he had to do, and that's to really compete.
61.
Give it his all. Hasn't done much wrong, Elliot.
62.
But what he has done wrong has cost him.
Yeah, he's beginning to flow now, O'Sullivan. Shot time coming down with every passing pot. He's earned the right to get himself into this position of strength. He's had to show patience. He's played plenty of safety. He's given every shot due consideration. He's needed a bit of help from Slessor as well, because he could easily have been 2 frames down and really under the cosh. But he's taken his chances in typically ruthless fashion.
$71. 72.
And he's barely missed a ball that's mattered.
Safety has been superb as well. Not just the safety, but the thinking behind the safety.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. 78. And the frame.
The red stays out, so no 4th century of this new season for O'Sullivan, but 70. Mark Allen, the reigning champion of champions winner, who was quite outstanding last night against Anthony Hamilton. His all-round game so impressive up against the dangerous and the swift Rob Milkins. That should be an attacking match. Now, what has Elliot Slessor got left? He's played some good snooker today, but only 1 frame to show for it.
Yes, his long potting hasn't been there. Just a couple of long reds, and he has got away with it a couple of times.
Yeah, just 1 out of 5 from long range for Slessor. The one he did pot was quite brilliant, but of course it only yielded him the 1 point, and then he missed the brown. From that, he lost the frame. And O'Sullivan's back in early in the frame he needs for the last 32. Where he would play Matthew Stevens, who for the second day running has come from 2-0 behind to win. Today's victim, former English Open runner-up Mark Davis. So Stevens has been playing some really good stuff again.
Yeah, good to hear as well. Good to see, good to hear. Matthew Stevens been put in a lot of practice, according to him. Well, that wasn't a bad kiss on the blue. It gave him the best position to get to this red by the black, which would make it available into both pockets if he's got the angle. Hasn't quite got the angle, or he doesn't like it.
From the very first shot today, O'Sullivan has been absolutely dialed in.
I like that, dialed in. Yes, whatever he's dialed into, Philip, it's working. Although, as you said, it could have been so much different, you know, had Slessor won that second frame.
Yeah, without doing anything wrong, O'Sullivan could have been 2-0 behind, couldn't he?
30.
Didn't do anything wrong at all.
I'm not actually sure he's missed an important ball so far today. We've seen him miss at the end of frame-winning breaks, but I don't recall him missing a ball that's mattered.
No, me neither. So,
20.
been a great performance so far from O'Sullivan.
21.
Didn't want the kiss on the black, and that's made things difficult. Maybe the red to the right of the pack will go to the baulk corner. Now he's got one that goes to the left corner, and this is going to bring more reds into play if he can finish on the black.
29.
And he has. Look at that for a shot.
Well, that's why he's compiled an eye-watering 1,064 career centuries.
That was such a beautiful split on the pack. Just the right amount of screw on the cue ball.
37.
He paid his dues at the start of this match, O'Sullivan, and now he's just moving serenely through the gears.
Elliot Slessor missed that long red.
45.
Never an easy shot, by the way. Could be his last.
$52. 53.
Few reds to play for, but the one directly above the black. Probably favourite. That releases the other two to the left corner.
56.
One more red required. And Elliot Slessor just had one shot in this frame, and this was it. And it looks like it's going to cost him dearly.
The turning point was undoubtedly the misread, a very tough red that he took on, having lost prime position at the back end of frame two, when Slessor was on top, threatening to double his lead, threatening to beat O'Sullivan 3 times out of 3, but
72.
the reigning world champion has applied himself to the max today. He knew he was in for a battle. He knew the threat his opponent was going to carry, and he stood up to the task very impressively, and he's now begun to really produce the champagne snooker, which he is so synonymous with.
80.
What entertainment we've seen from the two best players in the world this afternoon. Judd Trump, with his explosive weight of scoring and a maximum break to go with a couple of other centuries, and a landslide win over the teenager from China, Gao Yang. And now O'Sullivan working very hard initially to get the better of Elliot Slessor, and now putting the finishing touches to a very satisfactory afternoon's work. And what a match we have in store in the next round. O'Sullivan against former UK and Masters champ Matthew Stevens, who got the better of him at the English Open, remember, this season. So once again, O'Sullivan will be eyeing some revenge.
92.
And he finish with a flourish.
Well, a good kiss on the pink to finish perfectly onto the blue.
97.
A little switch to left-handed.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 97.
Oh, what a shame.
No century to finish, but that was pretty much an immaculate performance against a dangerous opponent. Ronnie O'Sullivan gave every shot due care and attention, and he's finished in his usual style to win by 4 frames to 1.